where does hope come from? For me, it comes from innovative leadership. Now, I'll be completely honest. When I came here today, I had a speech in mind, but really taking in the spirit of the event today, listening to the speeches that have been given and also speaking to the students, I've had a bit of a reevaluation and I had to think really about what hope means to me and hopefully what hope means to all of us. I think when we grow up in this world, we see institutional leaders all the time, people who really put on platforms from, obviously in the UK, the Prime Minister, obviously in businesses, managers, CEOs, etc. But at school particularly, we have things like prefects or captains or individuals who are institutional leaders. And I really believe when I was at school that institutional leaders were the ones where you believed, oh, change was going to come from those people, or leadership was down to those individuals who were designated as leaders within their community. But actually, what I find most compelling is innovative leaders, quite often the ones who take up roles of leaderships and curate their own communities almost in the stealth of darkness without these fancy titles that are given to them by institutions. So what are innovative leaders? Well, in theory, it's every single one of us. An innovative leader is someone, in my opinion, who creates their own role of leadership. So that could be someone who decides to go and create their own body of music that they post to social media. That could be someone that decides to go and create their own startup. Or it could be someone that goes and creates their own charity or anything in between. Someone that really takes their own initiative to create something that provides value to the world around us. And for me, quite often, those are the individuals who are overlooked within society. And I think given that we're at a school today, looking back on my times at school where, again, prefects were the ones who were sort of lifted up and the ones that were presented to my school, I think it's important today to talk about innovative leaders. So the first example I guess I'd love to give about innovative leadership would be musicians. I think, again, musicians are one of the kind of most overlooked communities when it comes to leadership. We don't ever really think of musicians as leaders within our communities, yet they're quite often the ones that are the voice of a generation. They're quite often the ones that are speaking out about problems and really bringing them to the mainstream audiences. When thinking about hope, I really want to come across with a narrative where every single one of us in this room can provide hope to other people. And I think that music and creativity is one of the most effective ways of bringing hope to the masses. We now live in a time where it's easier than ever to produce a body of work and to promote that to millions of people. I really want, particularly the students in the room, to potentially think about the generation that our parents are growing up in. If our parents wanted to produce a body of work for music, let's say, think of the things that they would have had to have done. Well, presumably, let's say they're creating a solo piece of music, because if you wanted to create a band, you didn't have social media to connect with people around the world or to connect with people that don't live near you. So you would have to find people that lived in your local community that had complementary skill sets to you, i.e. you don't want 4 singers in a band probably, you want someone that can play the drums or someone that can play the guitar. And everyone needs to be at the same level with the same amount of motivation. Whereas now we can use tools like social media, we can use often free music tools online, and we can use platforms like YouTube and Instagram to promote ourselves, again, for free. So it's easier than ever to create and promote a body of work of music. And again, if we were in our parents' generation, if we wanted to get, say, 10,000 ears to our music, you would have to go and find the busiest street in London, bring your guitar with you and perform as people walk by, whereas now you can really post a tweet, or you can post an Instagram post with your music, and it can be seen by tens of thousands of people. By creating that song, you are creating hope, you are creating change, and it's easier than ever to do that. Looking past music towards something like creating a business. Now again, creating music for our parents' generation was really tricky, but creating a business was completely unfathomable. You would need to go and hire a building to have as your store, hire staff, create marketing materials, invest money into actually buying products. Whereas now, we can use platforms like Instagram as our free shop window. We can be using the tools that we have via our smartphone to be creating a business with no capital investment. In fact, there's a really great site I love, which the cost of 10 business failures today is the same as one business failure only 10 years ago. So we have these opportunities in front of us, again, if we have a passion for something, we can turn that into a business. And that's something that our parents never had the opportunity to do. We have these opportunities at our fingertips, which previously no one else ever had. I think creating a business is something which, to our parents' generation, perhaps was unfathomable, but something which can be unfathomable to even us today in this generation is creating a charity. Now, if you were to ask me how to create a charity, I wouldn't know personally where to start. But what's insane to me is everywhere you look, all around the world, there are young people creating organizations that are promoting and unifying the voices of young people to stand for change. And that governments from all around the world are having their new policies quite often developed by young people and the movements that they're curating. I think the idea of securing government funding, shifting government policies, and mobilizing tens of thousands of young people from all around the world is a really daunting concept. But now it's more possible than ever to do. Now, I wanted to really promote these three initiatives of music and business and charity to give a bit of a flavor to what the type of things that young people are innovating and being innovative leaders for all around the world today. What I think is really nice is we rarely get an opportunity in life to sit back and reflect on ourselves. So take a moment now to really just think about yourself, something that you are deeply passionate for, something that you deeply care about, something that you potentially want to be pursuing in the future. We have this opportunity starting today, provoked by the Festival of Hope, to be thinking about the things that really matter to us and the things that are really important to us, and to begin creating change around those topics. There was a discussion earlier today in the library, actually, which I was listening into, where people were talking about how hope is created and how change is created. And I really believe that, and also whether those changes you wish are the type of things that you have to create today and stick by for the rest of your lives. I think that what's really important to note is that whatever it is you guys want to start or to do, whether that be to create your own body of music, to start your own company, or to go and create a charity trying to shift change within governments, that doesn't need to start as a massive vision. It doesn't need to start as the finished product. It doesn't need to start with that vision. It can start with the smallest possible thing. Again, creating an album, it could be just creating one singular song to begin with. What can you do to create that initial start for promoting hope, but also beginning to push change? Starting in a really small way will not only hopefully give you guys more confidence to keep pushing yourselves to promote change on a bigger scale later on, but will also help you to learn the skills and resources you need. So again, if there's something that you're really passionate about and you don't know how to start or how to get to where you want to go, think about what's the smallest minimum way that I can make that initial change. Is it creating a blog post or making a tweet or creating a song? Think about that and try as soon as this evening or tomorrow to begin the process of making that, because what you'll find is even if it doesn't reach the heights that you maybe hope to one day reach, that is going to get you on the trajectory to one day reaching there. That gets you to point one. And I think that's the most important place to start when thinking about building hope and creating change. The final thing I wish to mention really is, again, thinking about all the topics that have been discussed today, is this idea of social media. And we can have debates forever about whether social media is a good or a bad thing. And there will be plenty of discussions throughout the rest of today about social media, I'm sure. Now, without wishing to really engage in that debate now, I do want you to think about the tools and the opportunities that we have around us as a generation. Again, our parents and our grandparents didn't really have the same access to opportunities that we have today. They didn't have the chance to reach 10,000 people. If they wanted to reach 10,000 people, they would have to be a journalist for the local newspaper. They couldn't do it by sending a tweet or by posting a photo on Instagram. That wasn't possible. And there are plenty of other online tools today as well, which give us the opportunity to promote hope and to curate change. And I want you to really think about what tools we have around us that you can go home starting today to use to help push your passion that one step further than just from being in your head as an idea to actually curating that first step of hope and curating that first step of change. Thank you all so much. And again, where does hope come from? I personally believe it comes from innovative leaders, not necessarily institutional leaders.